Yes, I think when we say that something is an implementation COP, it really means that the pledges have already been done, and we know the pledges have been done in the Paris in 2015, and now really is the time for implementation. If I may say so, the time for implementation was also yesterday. And any implementation of successful climate action would mean that we should have the communities who face the greatest impact of climate change at the center of those actions. And exactly the communities you mentioned, women, marginal farmers from Global South, are those communities at the forefront. So overall, we know that from the last 10 years or so, the amount of finance overall for climate action has increased. But it's still not enough, and adaptation actually gets a much smaller share than, say, mitigation. I mean, according to some estimates, adaptation only gets 10 to 20% of the total financing compared to mitigation. And this is also where a lot of discussions are going on, that we need more funds for adaptation, more technology transfer for adaptation, and I totally agree with that. We need that. Having said that, I also want to make something that has come out very well from our IPCC assessment, of which I was a part this time, and it says that without very rapid mitigation, even adaptation goals will fail. So I don't want to say that, we take away money from mitigation and only do adaptation, or we only do mitigation and not adaptation. I think neither or works. We have to do both. I think the way some of these agreements, Paris particularly, has been written, it does have climate justice as its heart. It just says about differential responsibilities. So it's just like now really implementing those, and that would mean more finances to some of the most marginalized communities, more bottom-up adaptation. We are hearing a lot about locally led adaptation. Just recognizing through action that those who are facing the most impacts are not the people who have caused climate change. Here again, I think the science is very clear. For us to solve this climate crisis, we have to really take on board the voices of those who have been most severely impacted. And we know that women, children, marginalized communities, indigenous people are the ones at the forefront of, just right at the front of those climate impacts. So obviously any solution that doesn't center these voices is unlikely to work. And it's just not a moral obligation, it's actually a science obligation. The science is very clear that for climate action to take effect, we have to have these voices, these people who have been affected the most at the heart and center of discussions. That's a very interesting question actually, and I think that there are global discussions going on around global adaptation goals. See, with mitigation is relatively simple. Mitigation targets are about, tons of CO2 or CO2 equivalent of greenhouse gases. But how do you measure adaptation? And I think one of those metrics for measuring adaptation would also be how fair and equitable those adaptations are, and how much they allow, how effective they are in reducing climate risk, not for just an average person, but for some of the most marginalized people, including women, marginalized communities, indigenous people. Oh, this is again just, there's a moral question. This world belongs to all of us, and all of us have equal rights on its carbon budget. But apart from the moral question, there is also the science answer. Science, especially adaptation science, and what we are finding in the working group 2 of the IPCC is very clear. Unless the solutions are equitable and just, they're not likely to work.